Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a short video again in another instrument cluster testing. This is for my records and the customer records, and also, to share what I'm doing in the shop. All right, so this is a 1997 Eurovan. There have a BW chassis on I think it's a Winnebago Rialta. This is from Larry Tenison. I'm just going to show his signature in here so he knows that this is his instrument cluster. He's actually in contact with me right now, waiting for the actual test on the instrument cluster, and that's what I am actually recording this, and also to share what I do. These again are the connections that I do. This is all OEM information, and I mark, as you can see with the colors, the most important signals for me to do the checks and what I use in the decay bags as far as values to change up and downs the gauges on the fuel tank and on the coolant temperature. As far as the speed, I use my simulator. I just provide a signal through one of the outputs. This has 9 outputs, and I don't think I have ever shown this, but yeah, this is very nice on this simulator because I can just go and edit the signals. I have already created a lot of signals that I use. These are all created by me, and I can just go and select one. Like in this case, it's just RPM. So I just select that, and this is just how the signal will look in here. I created, it has as many pages as you want. You can create, multiple spaces if you want a really intricate signal that needs it more. And then when I'm done with that, I just write it, and then that's what I just did in here, and it goes over to the simulator, and this is pretty handy. Again, this is, I don't think I have ever showed that, but that's how I do inject signals. Like sometimes I just need a square signal like that. This simulator, which is really nice, it has all the 7 channels for up to 12 volts, so I can change the voltage in here up to 24 sorry, after 12, or 13 or so, whatever I am. Actually, I think it's 14 and a half, which I have there, so 13 and a half. But also, this simulator can go up to 24 volts. I just switch a flip on the back, and that's what you can see that I have stuff in here that shows 24 volts, so I don't know, stuff like that. That will not work unless change everything to 24 volts, and that's it's actually, I like that the switch is on the back because you're not going to mix the stuff when you're working in 12 volts or 24 volts, right? But yeah, going back to the signals, I can inject any signal that I want in here. As you can see, I can go 1 volt, 2 volts, anything that I want, uh, half a volt, and that will work on a square wave. And that is super important because sometimes you want to inject the signal and into an IC to kind of like mimic the SPI communication and see if a reaction on the outputs, and that's what I use. I also have the arbitrary waveforms generator, which is also super handy. And now that I have CL Electronics, they have something like this. I honestly like this a lot better than what they have is in there, and I can give it that they have more intricate signals, so you can produce more intricate signals because it moves the signal based on degrees, but I cannot change the amplitude. In this one, I cannot change the degrees, but I can change the amplitude, which is the voltage, and that's on the end super, super important for me. So I'm trying to negotiate with them to see if they can actually, because before they just, in the last update that was there, and now with the new update it's not, and I need that. So I always saying that tools, you don't want to remove anything, you can add things, but don't remove things because otherwise it loses value, right? But yeah, coming back to what I do here, this is how I inject the signals, and then I can change the frequency here with this RPM knob. I can change the frequency as you will see here. It changes the frequency, and that will change the speedometer speed. All right, let me turn this on. That will just, this is like a battery. This is the way these gauges are always in the vehicle. And when I turn the ignition is when I have the lights turn in the ignition, so they can be showing that they're working, but that's when the printer works and I start everything to work. As you can see, I got no fuel or temperature or anything working. I'm going to make this one go actually to a little over almost 3/4 of a tank, and so is the temperatures to show Larry because one of his concerns is that the fuel gauge was never uh, over half a tank, and these stepper motors are very common. The voltage regulator, capacitors, broken solder joints. I mean, I just not even no more look into it. I just automatically remove everything, resolder all the spots that I have already again, reverse engineer and test by test and test and redo and know exactly where the RDOs are. And I obviously do an inspection, a full inspection on the board to make sure everything is fine. And then I do the test for the customers as you are seeing right now. All right, so I can always change that and I can change that. I can go over to like almost half of the readings. As you can see, with just the decade changes, I can change the gauge's height, and then I inject the signal. I forgot to turn these two lights in here. Those are the blinkers. I just flip this one. As you can see, let me just go back. That will be doing that. And then if I turn the ignition off, as you can see, the gauges go back to down, and the temperature and the um, fuel tank. So this is the ignition. Or in the car, you will never be able to turn the third switch off, which is the battery. But I can do it obviously here, just killing the battery. Well, you can just disconnect the battery, right? But normally you will never do that because it's not necessary. And that's the reset you hear when I turn the battery on. That is actually this needles resetting to 0, and that is very common. A lot of the people that has these clusters, that's what they do because the gauges start to stay in on one position, so they go and disconnect the battery and reconnect it, and then that's kind of like reset it for a little bit, but then at the end, as it needs to be repaired because otherwise it will never happen, something like that. All right, so let me turn the ignition back on. I can turn all the lights on, and now let me inject the signal for the speed. As you can see, I am almost, 20 miles per hour, and I can make it go up. And that just changes the amplitude in here. As you can see, I'm just changing in there, 113. And as you can see, I'm almost 100 and something miles per hour. I think that's the fastest this car has ever gone. Like just, right, Larry. All right, again, this is just a short video to show that everything is working as it's supposed to. And I'm going to now call the customer, finish this up, obviously putting it together. I already reset all the needles, and that's why also I always do this test because, when I turn some of the lights on, when I turn this off, all the needles should rest in 0. All right, so this is 100% repair. Hopefully you guys like the video, and I try to share some of the information of the stuff that I do and help others around the world, and also show the customers that they can send. I have all the parts necessary for these clusters. I bought a bulk, I mean a big amount of stepper motors and voltage regulators and everything because these are obsolete, and their stepper motors on these ones are very expensive. So just give me a call or text me at mike@mikesalazardiagnostics.com. Again, for those that don't know how my name is spelled, it's MAIC, and that sounds as Mike. So I will put, right here on the screen, I will probably put, my email just before, and then you guys, if needed, just contact me, and then I will give you a quote. As usual, thank you so much for visiting the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. See you next time. Bye bye.